Today, I'm honored to bring you guys a good friend of mine, Brandon Wood, to the podcast. Brandon, thanks for having us, or thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Scott, man. You two fellas too, man. Thanks for letting me join.
Oh, it's a pleasure having you. It's a pleasure having you.
And that right there is why Scott can't introduce people.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Nah, that was cool,
just
man.
wing it.
Good, man. Don't listen to them, bro. Yeah.
All right, Brandon, obviously, I said you've traveled the globe. I mean, you've played professional overseas for about 10 years now, in many different countries, different continents.
Mhm.
What's your most memorable experience, playing in all these different areas?
Man, my most memorable experience. That's a tough question, man, because there's been so many. Man, let me think of one that's appropriate.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, give us a couple
or that this is
there.
the right time for it. They're all eventually going to come out, but let me see, man. All right, man. Here's one. When we were actually our favorite place that we've been and most special place has been North Africa when we were in Morocco. So one story, kind of putting my wife out there, kind of putting her business out there. So I don't know how much you guys have heard about overseas, but there's a lot of just unprofessional business, So it's like there's a lot of little small things that could go wrong at any time. So it was time for us to leave, and we had already been there like 6 months. So this was like June, I think like mid-June. And usually like when we go overseas, like the teams, I play for some pretty good clubs, well organized, handle their business. Usually they take care of all the work, the visa for my wife to be there, the paperwork, whatever's needed, you know what I'm saying? But man, this time in Morocco, they must not have done that. So it was time for us to leave, and we were leaving the country at the airport, had our couple of bags packed, had everything with us that we own, because that's how we've traveled all these years. Like, it's been amazing. But yeah, we were at the customs, about to go through customs and, make our way back home to America. And they pull my wife to the side, once they check her passport, so they checked her passport, and, they basically, the paperwork and stuff wasn't done by the team. So now my wife, we're detained in the country for an extra month, just waiting for, the court to play out. So basically it basically was like she got arrested at the border, so.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it really didn't seem like that in the moment, but then once you think about it after the fact, it's like, man, they didn't like arrest her or nothing, but they just made us go back to our apartment, and then we had to go stay like an extra month, 3 or 4 weeks. And then like within them times, like she had to go to court a couple times. So like we got the whole Moroccan court experience. So we were sitting in the back, they got all, it was like, I remember it was like a Monday, and we were the first ones in there. We had they didn't send anybody with us to court. They just sent me with my driver. So I'm in there like the driver, he don't really know what's going on. So he's the one in there translating. So we're just in there, just, soaking it in, we know it's going to be cool, but we're just kind of soaking in the experience. So this must have been like a Monday. And so like, obviously they had the people that had got arrested throughout the city through the weekend, you know how that goes. So they all file out the room and like just flood the pew, or whatever you want to call them, where they're sitting in the courtroom. And man, it's just like hectic, commotion. All the families on this side, it's like no structure, no nothing, bro. So we just back there just soaking it in, just like it was amazing. It was just one of them experiences that it's unfortunate, how it happened, but it's like it doesn't register as that. It was just like, man, we got to experience this, just another experience. So it was cool, man. But we ended up having to pay like $60. So it was like all that for $60.
All that for $60.
In 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks of waiting around. That's outrageous. I mean, I had definitely not that experience. I mean, I was once stopped at like through the pre-customs area. I was coming back from Mexico, and there was there was a live round of ammunition in my baggage. And it got to Mexico without any problem, but apparently coming back to the US, they're like, we don't think this is going to fly. So I had to like sit there and they had to search all my bags, and I had to ask like 50 questions about why it was there, of which I still have no idea why it was there. So, but I still got to go. I didn't have to like stay in Mexico or anything. So that's absolutely outrageous that your experience like left you there for an extra 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, man, it's even crazier. When we did get it all handled and it was time to leave and we went through customs again, like, and even the first time I forgot this, like, it was like I got through. I kind of like, we always stay together, you know, we travel everywhere together, we stay together, but like I kind of was a little bit ahead of her. So it was like I kind of crossed the customs, the little border part, and they kind of kept her back. I'm like, you know, no, I got to go back with my wife. Like,
Right.
I got to go back here, and I'm making sure she's cool. But yeah, even then, when it was time to come, like the month later, we were at the same place about to go through, and they stopped her and held her for a minute just for whatever reason. But I'm like, man, not again.
Yeah. Wow.
But we ended up making it home.
That brings up to me an interesting question just about playing internationally. You said that, you know, the club kind of took care of all that extra paperwork and did all that stuff. Was that a pretty typical experience when you're playing overseas for the club to take care of everything, or were there times where you had to do more to make all that possible?
So usually, like when you first get overseas, like, you know, you handle, like in the first week, you'll go to like the police station and, you know, do the fingerprints and, you know, just do that whole process of just kind of, you know, letting them know you're there, you're going to be living there, you know, whatever, you know, go to just a different embassy, you know, and just handle the little basic paperwork. But, you know, we always have somebody with us who like helps us out, you know, whether it's translating or the paperwork or, you know, translating, communicating with people. So that's usually handled like in the first week by the teams. And it was, you know, don't get me wrong, they handled my paperwork and made sure I was cool, but they just didn't follow up and do what they should have did for my wife, you know. Right. But yeah, so yeah, we really don't have to worry about all
that. Okay, well, we're going to take it way back now, before the pro days, and I'd have to say, you know, I followed your career loosely, but I'd probably personally say the coolest thing I ever got to see was when you played a college basketball game on a Navy aircraft carrier. I mean, how many guys can say they've done that? You know, this is the first time they ever did that. Could you like just give us I mean, I know you can't go super detailed of that experience, but just give us a little insight of it.
Man, first off, just like you said, having the chance to play on the Navy ship and, you know, be able to, like, when we first got there, we got to tour the whole ship, you know, so we got to walk through the ship and, you know, kind of see the living quarters and see where everything kind of went on while they were, you know, off at sea. You know, so just that experience of, you know, being able to put into more perspective what the, you know, the Navy gentlemen, what they had to live through, you know, what their living situation, you know, while they were going to sea, whether it was for months at a time or, you know, a couple of weeks or whatever. So that experience was, you know, amazing to meet them and just be able to talk to them a little bit. You know, that was real cool. Then like, before the game, it was like we were, you know, I was glad my parents and my sister and them got to come, man. It was an amazing experience, man. So just coming out like where they had like tents set up. So like we each had our own tent for like our locker. Then they had like a main tent that was like right off of the court. It would have been the court. So before the game, like before we go out for warm-ups and the starting lineups, our whole team and North Carolina's whole team just kind of lined up in a straight line under the tent. And, you know, Obama and his wife, Michelle, they were about to come and greet us all. So, man, just to have that opportunity to, you know, just the atmosphere, you know, the Secret Service people all around, you know, we're hearing stuff like it doesn't surprise me, but there's submarines like all around the ship, you know, just to put that into perspective. And then just the security, and then Obama and his wife, you know, they go down the line and, you know, introduce themselves, and it was crazy. They knew all of our names, you know. That was amazing, you know. Definitely, shows the caliber of people they are, very attentive, and did their research,
Wow.
So that was amazing, and then I was kind of plotting, I was kind of plotting on him as I seen him come down the line, because I think the year before it was when I don't know if you remember, Scott, when he came to Kokomo.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and he was in the gym playing. He actually got to play with my brother-in-law, Gerard McCollum. So he got to play with him. So I already knew he was in Kokomo not too long ago. So I'm like, I take risks. I go. I don't got no issue. Like, hey, I go. I don't got no fear. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna bring up. Coach.
You just said you take risk, and this is the president of the United States, right?
Yeah, that's the president. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It wasn't that type of risk. I don't know who's watching this. But yeah, I'm like, man, I'm gonna say something to him. I'm gonna speak to him, and I was thinking I'm gonna let him know. I knew he was in Kokomo. Like, I'm from Kokomo. Like, he's gonna know I'm from Kokomo. So I'm like, man, I was like, first thing I said, he came shook my head, like, Brandon. He's like, nice to meet you. Good luck tonight. Whatever. Woo woo. And I was like, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm from Kokomo. He was like, oh, really? He was like, nice. And he, like, obviously he heard it in a register, but like, I don't think he didn't really have a chance to think about it. So he went to Draymond and kind of like was in between Draymond and someone else. He was like, he looked back at me like, were you there when I was there for the rally? I was like, no, I was gone at Valpo. I was gone to school. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm like, man, like, it's crazy, yeah. And I actually, every now and then I'll post that video. You probably seen this, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, he kind of did that
you
double
can
take.
hear that. You can even hear it all. You can hear it all. So it was that was cool, man.
That is cool.
And to meet his wife, and just to be able to shake their hand, get some of their energy. That was amazing. And then we go out to the game. Then we go out to the game, and Magic Johnson is our honorary captain. James Worthy is their honorary captain. I mean, really, I was like a kid in the candy shop. So I'm just from Valpo. I was just at JUCO 2 years ago. So I'm like, I remember watching them games and just looking at the TV like, man, like that's the highest level. That's like watching Caleb Lucas and watching Michigan State and them, and like, man, that's never even considering like I could still maybe play there. I wasn't even thinking like, man, I should be there. It was just like, man, that's the highest level, and then to find myself there 2 years later, I'm playing, even the players I was playing with, and the North Carolina players, I'm looking at them like they were Magic, and like, I'm like, man, I was just watching y'all, like, it's crazy. Like, now I'm on the court, starting lineup, like, man, and yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
So Muff is a Penn Stater. I'm an Ohio Stater. Scott is, I don't know. Go ahead, Scott. Where do you want to land on this one?
I like IU just for local, mainly just basketball, and then I like Ohio State. But I had to make an exception for a few years when Brandon was at Michigan State. So
yeah. Then
I could not root against him.
You came up there too, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I came up there a couple of times.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I know you came to the Midnight Madness, right?
Yeah, we came up there. That was
y'all was sitting in the practice gym when we went to the practice afterwards.
Yeah, that was intense to just, you guys are running up and down the court, and then Izzo starts yelling, and it just get like, you can hear a pin drop, and everybody's just quiet and staring right at him and just giving him the ultimate respect. Yeah. But I could not see him. He is so short. Not trying to throw him under the bus, but I did not realize how short he was until I saw him in person.
When it comes to the crowds at these Big Ten games, which one's the toughest place to play?
Definitely the Breslin. Yeah, Michigan State.
All right.
But not for us, obviously, but let me see. Let me think about them. I mean, for me, I wouldn't say it was tough to play IU, but that was obviously a game that I look forward to, being from Indiana.
Sure.
And it was, definitely a game that I marked on the calendar early, so I definitely look forward to playing on the road there. And a little memory from then. So I was ready for the game. You know, I'm the big games. Like I've always played the biggest and my best games in the biggest moments. You know, the biggest games. Like, so I was prepared. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna come out aggressive. You know, I'm gonna come out aggressive. You know, they coach kind of put me in position to get a couple plays at the beginning. So came out feeling good. You know, I missed a couple shots, scored a couple buckets, but I felt good. You know, so I get fouled, go to the free throw line. So I'm at the free throw line. You know, I got 2 free throws, and like I ain't said before, but I can never remember a time, and I can honestly say like I've never really been nervous in a game, any game ever. Like I've been maybe anxious for the game to come, but like never felt any nerves that like negatively affected me. So I'm at the free throw line, and it was, I don't know if this must have been nerves. Like I can't even explain it, but it was like I couldn't even feel my arms. Like the shit was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't even feel my arms, bro. But like mentally, I didn't really feel shooken up, but it was like, I'm thinking like, damn, I can't feel my arms. So I shoot the first free throw and I airball it. So, and I don't even remember ever airballing a free throw. So it might have been my first one. So I'm like, and then the second one come, the ref throw me the ball, and I remember I shot it so quick and just bricked it off the backboard. So it was like I was just trying to get it up there and get it away. Like I've never felt that, but like that was something. That must have been nerves. Like that. It was crazy.
It's odd for that to happen, like, you know, after you've kind of gotten into the flow of the game. You know,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it must have just been like, I don't know, man, because I don't remember like the crowd saying nothing crazy or I don't really, when you're on the court. I mean, I don't really. The crowd's tuned out, but it was just, I don't know, it's crazy. It's a funny memory. It's a funny memory I can always tell.
Well, I know you said you play your biggest games against, you know, you have your best games and the biggest games. Well, Muff, you're a North Carolina fan, right?
yeah. When it comes to basketball, yeah, I'm a North Carolina fan.
Yeah, and I want to say,
Me too.
Yeah,
didn't you put 30 on North Carolina when you played for Valparaiso?
I did, man. That knowing that game was on the schedule, that was one of the main reasons why I committed to Valpo before my JUCO season even started. So we had the chance. So I committed to Valpo before I even played my junior college season. After I met Homer and Bryce, and they obviously met them and got to know them, and you know, just the love that you could just feel it. You know, just the presence. You know, it's different. You know, so. They told me about their non-conference schedule, and they played at North Carolina and at Michigan State. They had a tournament in Vegas, so it was like, man, like to have that stage to play at North Carolina and at Michigan State, like, man, I'm ready to commit, you know. So come the next season, I think we opened up with Ball State, so that was like my first game like back playing Division I, and really like, I mean, because even when I was a freshman at SIU, I really didn't. I was very not an immature player in how I acted it or how I played or just how I was prepared for the college game. So like Valpo was like my first real experience to play my game at the Division I level. So we opened up with Ball State, played in Muncie. I think I had 26 that game, and got to play against my boy Jared Jones. And then we flew out to North Carolina to play them the next game. And like you said, like, man, I'm a North Carolina fan. I grew up, that was my favorite school. Like Jordan fan. I got pictures in the North Carolina jerseys and all that. So, man, I was ready for the game. So come out, and man, it was just one of them games like I just couldn't miss. You know, I remember I banked in a 3. Man, like I said, it was like my first time back at that level, and to play against a high level college team with, you know, the bigger players, more athletic players, you know, Deion Thompson, Ed Davis, Marcus Ginyard, you know, I'm like, man, I'm finishing over them. Like I'm like, so after that game, having 30 at North Carolina, I think I was the only underclassman to have a 30-point game in the Dean Smith Center. I don't know if that still holds, but I think at the time I was, and then like a week later, Grayson Flitner had 30. So it was like, yeah, it was like two Howard County boys, you know, just went to 30 against North Carolina. So that was cool. But yeah, man, playing at that game, that was yeah, just that pretty much put me on the map at the college level and moving forward.
So how did you end up at Michigan State? Like, what was it that brought you there?
So are you familiar with the 5th-year transfer rule?
Yeah.
So I was fortunate to be able to take advantage of that at a time when it really wasn't taken advantage of or used or even known about. So my dad was working at Purdue at the time, and he was talking with some people, and they kind of brought the rule up to him, and we weren't really familiar with it. You know, we hadn't considered it at all. So, you know, the idea came up, and, you know, he brought it to my attention that it was a possibility since I was graduating on time. You know, I could transfer anywhere, open up my recruitment, transfer anywhere, and play my last year without sitting out. So really, like, after I finished when you finish the season in college, like, well, I don't know most programs, but I know this how Homer did it. Like, you have a meeting with your parents and, you know, with your family, you know, just kind of talk about, you know, what's next. So it came time for that meeting. And at the time, after the season, I knew I had one more season left, regardless, not regardless, but I had one season to play. So after my second season of Valpo, I put my name in the draft. So put my name in the draft, getting the feedback from the teams. I knew personally I wasn't gonna keep my name in the draft. So I was basically trying to, you know, getting the feedback from the teams and kind of just looking to understand more what they wanted to see moving forward, you know, whether I were to come back or whether I would just keep my name in the draft or whether I just go overseas. So, you know, going over those different options, and, you know, we were in the meeting with my parents and with Homer and Bryce and the athletic director at Valpo, Mark LaBarbera. And, you know, Homer and Bryce, and they were kind of leading the meeting, going over the different options from their perspective, you know, them being our coaches, us were having complete respect for them, and, you know, let's just trust in them, you know, complete trust. You know, they led the meeting and kind of laid out my options for me. So after we talked about it, it was like after they finished like the last option, my dad, he was like, you know, hold on, I think, but he was like, you know, there's another option that we know that is available that we might be considering. And he was like, the option of Brandon opening up his recruitment and transferring, considering he just got his degree. And at that time, like, you could tell, like, completely shocked Homer and Bryce. Like, you could just see it in their face, you know. I don't know if they, obviously it's surprising, but I don't know if they knew we were familiar with it, or even if they did, maybe they just wouldn't expect that, you know. But you know, so they, you know, I remember they asked me and my mom and my sister to go out the room, and they want to talk to my dad for a minute. So they were talking to him for a second, you know, probably like just kind of questioning him, seeing what's up, what's going on, you know, where's this coming from? I don't know. But so we ended up leaving, and really, like, once the option was had like arose, and like I was aware of the option, it was a no-brainer from right when I heard it. You know, it was like, oh yeah, like I can open up my recruitment. I just graduated, got my degree. I can open up my recruitment, go anywhere, and play right away, and work on my master's degree. Like I'm gone. Like, I'm definitely taking advantage of it. And it was like at Valpo at the time, like my first year of Valpo, I had a great season. We had a great season as a team. I wouldn't say a great season as a team, but we had, you know, a solid season, you know, to build upon. So we had a good season. I was, you know, got the all league team, all district, all region, first team, all conference, you know, all that my first year. Second year, come back, you know, do the same thing. And I was like, man, I know if I were to come back to Valpo, I would have been the preseason player of the year. Not like candidate. I would have been the preseason player of the year headed into my final season, and I would have ended up, getting first team all conference again. I felt like I felt like I already did everything I could have done in that conference. As a not even from the first year to the second year as a team, we got much better, and I focused on becoming a. That's when I kind of made the transition of becoming a leader. That's when like my leadership journey really started. Is from my first year to my second year of Valpo, because that's kind of what Bryce Drew. We kind of talked about. He wanted me to work on. Not that I wasn't a leader, but I was a leader by example. But he wanted me to kind of get uncomfortable and kind of lead with my voice and just continue to evolve. So yeah, it was like, man, I felt like I knew it was like I've done a lot in this conference. I've scored 1,000 points in 2 years, like the all tournament teams, all league teams. Like, man, like I said, like I take risks, So I'm like, man, I'm definitely gonna bet on myself and go, wherever, whoever offers me a scholarship, like that's what I'm doing. I'm taking advantage of that option. So after that meeting, we left and we talked about it a little bit, and Homer and them talked about it. And once like after that meeting and like it all settled down, they were completely supportive of everything. They understood where I was coming from once they heard a little bit more from me and my parents. So throughout that process of transitioning from Valpo to wherever I was to go, it was real smooth. So I was fortunate, for that to be a smooth transition. So I had to, teams couldn't reach out to me. So I had to like pick different schools that I wanted to send a letter to. So I picked, like a group of 10 or 15 schools, and I sent the letter that I was opening up my recruitment to them, and then they could contact me after that. So after that, the schools started hitting me up, and pretty much came down to between Purdue and Michigan State. So then, I was kind of between them two. I would talk to Matt Painter, and he would, like, man, Purdue, that sounds like it's where it's at. Next day I talked to Izzo, and they'd be like, nah, Michigan State, like I'm gonna go to State. So then I ended up going on a visit to State, and it kind of just sealed the deal. Great coaching staff, and definitely just a chance to be a part of that, the history of being a Spartan. Like, that was amazing.
And you had a great 2012 season at Michigan State.
Man, couldn't have went better. From a team standpoint or from an individual standpoint, I couldn't. Man, it's just one part of the dream that's still going on. Like, it was amazing.
Cause you guys won the Big Ten tournament that year, didn't you?
Yeah, we won both. We won the Big Ten regular season. We were tied with it might have been between Michigan and Ohio State, or one or the other. And then we won the championship the tournament championship outright. So we won both Big Ten championships, and we were number one seed. And then we got beaten in the Sweet 16.
Okay, so overseas, you've won 2 championships?
4.
Okay, well, I only remember 2. You won one in like your few seasons ago in Switzerland, and was it like your second season in
my rookie season in Hungary?
Okay, because I couldn't remember if it was Macedonia or Hungary. I couldn't remember. Those are the 2 that I can remember.
Yeah. My rookie season in Hungary, man, that was another amazing season. So we won. So like overseas, there's usually like the regular competition that you play in, just a regular season, and then it'll be like a cup series, like a cup competition, and the cup is like a tournament that's like within the season. So you'll play like the first round, like the first round of the cup will be like, it'll be like in, say it's November, and then the second round of the cup will be you'll go back to your city and play some of your regular season games, and then the second round of the cup will be, say it's in January, and then go back, play another round of your regular season games, and then like the Final Four and championship will be, say in April. So it's like a cup play is within the season. So my rookie year in Hungary, we won the cup championship and we won the the Hungarian championship as well. So that was great experience. Finals MVP. Man, I won. Man, it's crazy, bro. So we won the championship that year, and the championship started like the middle of April, and so they usually run through May. So us going to the finals, we knew we would be like one of the best teams. So we knew that we would probably be there till the beginning of June. So the whole last month of right when the playoffs began, I pulled my hamstring. So throughout the whole playoffs, I didn't practice one time. I was only playing in the games. And it was 3 series. So it was 3 game of 5 series. So I didn't practice at all the last month and a half of the season, and then just played the games. We ended up winning the championship, and I was the Finals MVP.
Jeez, yeah, that's crazy.
And then Switzerland, which would have been like 2016, 2017, we won the Cup championship, and at the time I was dealing with a herniated disc. So at the time I had been playing for like 5, 6, 7 months with a herniated lower disc in my back that happened the season before in Israel. So after my season in Israel, went home, the injury settled down, went to Switzerland. And once the season started in Switzerland, I started feeling like my sciatica nerve down my leg was painful. It was all I did that whole time in Switzerland. All my wife and I did was pretty much I go to practice, come home from practice, and just maintain this injury. So it's like I'll just go home and just jump in the tub, whether it be hot tub or a cold tub. I jump in the tub, she have it ready, get out, she massaging me. I could only lay down, and I just go to practice. That was for like 3 months of the season. So we get to the Cup, we get to the championship of the Cup, which was a few months into the season. And at the time, like I was dealing with the injury, and I don't know if this is for sure, but when you're injured, like a foreigner, an American being injured overseas, like it's like if it's something serious, or even if it's nothing serious, your job is on the line. Your job is on the line for sure. So I'm dealing with this injury the whole time, and the team is professional about it. My team in Switzerland was professional about it. I had to go back to Israel to go see the doctor while I was in Switzerland, to see the doctor and make sure I was injured for some insurance stuff. So my team in Switzerland, they handled the situation real smooth. But come time for the Cup, they had brought in another guard. So at the time, I was kind of naive I think I might have been kind of naive to what was going on. But I think I'm pretty sure how the business goes, and knowing the business, after we won that Cup championship, or no matter what happened in the Cup, I'm pretty sure they were going to release me from my contract, just, pay me the money they owe me and just release me from my contract. Kind of probably fortunately in my favor. And that's a little bit of speculation, but I'm pretty sure that was the case, because they weren't going to keep 2 point guards on the team, paying them money. They weren't going to do that. So crazy story. I'm sitting on the bench. Like in the Cup championship, like this is another sign. Like I'm sitting on the bench in the championship. I really didn't play that much in the Final Four game or the championship. So I was like, pretty sure after we got home off the road, they're probably going to come to terms. They're going to release me. But at the game, I was sitting on, like I said, I was sitting on the bench the whole game, pretty much in the championship. I only played like 10 minutes. So after the game, we win the chip. We doing the celebrating, taking all the pictures and whatnot. Get back home, and like I'm just relaxing with my wife, laying on the couch. So I'm laying on the couch for like an hour, just chilling, and I stand up, and I just couldn't walk. I just couldn't walk at all. I had been dealing with the injury, and like once I get warmed up and practicing the games, like I was cool. Like I really couldn't feel it, adrenaline running, like I was cool. But it was different then, to where like, and if you're familiar with backs and familiar with what's good for your back as far as posture, the worst posture is sitting,
yeah,
in the position as if you're sitting on the bench. So
right.
basically the last straw to me having to get surgery was because the coach benched my ass. So basically, I had to get back surgery from sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
But fortunately, like, man, it's timing. Like, I'm pretty sure what I think was the case was the case, but like, we had like a few days off after the championship, and before the practice, I talked to the team, and I'm like, man, I can't practice. You know, I need to go see the doctor. Like, it's like whatever I just can't practice. You know, so I ended up going to the doctor, and you know, he checked me out. You know, took like the MRI. I came back in a couple of days. He was like, man, really, like, this is in Switzerland. He was like, man, you got two options. Basically, you can get, like, you know, get a shot, you know, to kind of take the pain away, but it's not really going to heal what's going on, you know, but you'll be comfortable, you'll be able to play, or you can get the surgery. And like I said, like, I take risks. I'm like, man, I'm getting this surgery. Like, I'm gonna get this done, get this handled. Like, I'm gonna just be healthy. And I don't even feel like it was a risk, but people probably look at that as if, like, man, that's a big decision. But at the time, it was just like, no, I'm gonna just get this surgery, you know, do what I need to do. Like, it's part of my lifestyle, it's part of my profession. It's like, it really wasn't as big a deal as it probably would have been for just an everyday citizen, you know. So it's like, but at the same time, it's like, I'm in Switzerland, like, I'm gonna just get it done, you know. So got the surgery done, and ended up coming home. Team took care of all my therapy, so I went to one of the top therapists in Scottsdale, and I had like a 90-day period where they could pay for it, and I didn't even miss like 10 days. So really gave me a chance to reprogram my body to where it's even built up to now. So that situation, even though, you know, had the surgery, I know we're talking about the championship, but yeah, that was, you know, another situation. But that was only one of the championships that season. The reason why I say it's two is because the team didn't finish paying my rehab before. I was still under contract, and they won the championship of the regular season. So I wasn't there for the regular season, but
Still counts.
Like, man, I'm putting that on my resume.
Still counts.
I was still under contract. Yeah, so that's in the resume too, for sure.
Yeah. So, Brand, you've had a lot of opportunities to play, you know, in high-level college programs as well as professionally. Is there a teammate that you have had that stands out as somebody that was not just a great teammate and great player, but just a great person just to be around? Is there anybody or multiple people that you would say fall into that category?
Yeah, there's so many people that fall into that category, but one of them, the first one that popped into my mind was my boy Lamar Lee. I don't know if you remember him, Scott, from Lafayette. He played for McCutcheon. When he was like the freshman from McCutcheon, that was like the only freshman that was on the team, like starting point guard. But man, yeah, Lamar, man, and it was after my freshman year of college at Southern Illinois. Obviously, I had to figure out what was next, whether it was to go straight to another Division I and have to sit out pretty much a whole nother year, you know, or go to a Division II or NAIA school and just, you know, basically at that point, that was at a time when I really had lost all love for the game. I had no confidence, really. Like, I was a 18-year-old young man, like, coming out of a tough, like, abusive situation. So it was time to make a decision. And I knew that I remember calling my dad and my parents, my mom, and like, man, basically, like, I just want to come back home and, you know, maybe go to U of ND, you know, still play, but, you know, pretty much just focus on my education. So I really didn't know if I even wanted to play anymore. So at the time of the transfer from Southern Illinois, my boy Lamar Lee was transferring from Indiana State. He was transferring from Indiana State. He was in a similar situation, but he had already decided to go to a junior college. And at the time, I don't think I was too familiar with JUCOs at the time. But, you know, Lamar, he kind of he heard the word that I was leaving SIU. So Lamar, being Lamar, knowing him, he, man, got away with words. You know, now he's in the real estate, you know, doing big things. So he's just very persuasive, and it was already my guy, you know, from school, you know, so I already knew him, I trusted him. So he kind of told me the situation he was headed to at Highland, up in Freeport, Illinois, how he knew the coach. The coach was real cool. He was the athletic director and the coach. So we would be real comfortable there. We would be in apartments. We have a meal plan, so it was like a pretty high level JUCO. They always, every year they go to the Hutch, the national tournament. So it'd be a good chance to play at a high level JUCO. And, he just, stressed how it'd be a good opportunity. So, like I said, I really wasn't, I know these days more so kids and players are like kind of hell bent on, I got to go D1 or not going JUCO or, I got to do this or that. But man, I've always been the type, even to now through my professional career, so I just kind of go with the flow, So I'm like, shit, I'm from D1. I just went to a high level mid-major D1 that just came off a Sweet 16 run, but it's like, I know I'm a Division I level player, caliber player, but just knowing where I was mentally, but not even knowing where I was mentally, it was like, I'm like, man, let me go to this JUCO, get my confidence back. I had a shoulder surgery I was coming off of headed into my freshman year. So I was dealing with an injury too, kind of. And then not only that injury, but the injury that medical redshirted me my year at SIU was a stress fracture in my leg. So it was like, I was kind of still coming off of two injuries. So it's like, let me go to Highland, get the love for the game back, get my confidence back, get all the way healthy, and keep it moving, So I didn't know what was next from the JUCO, so I just, trusted Lamar, trusted the coach, and kind of I knew that was where I was meant to be at that time.
Yeah, and that obviously got you in a situation that helped you, regain that love for the game, get you in a spot to get back into those D1 opportunities and ultimately the professional game. So that's awesome. What was it like playing with?
One big thing, one big part of that was just before the season even started, with the open gym, we was having open gyms, and Homer Drew and Bryce Drew, they were the first school to come recruit me. And it was before we even started practice, and it was like at the beginning of the open gyms. So I remember they came and kind of introduced themselves, and like I said, told me about their schedule, told me about the Horizon League, just kind of gave me the background of Valpo. So I committed to them before my JUCO season even began. So it was like, that was another, chance, because most players go JUCO, they're like, I'm going JUCO to get recruited. Yeah. My recruitment's open, I'm going JUCO because all these coaches are going to be around the whole season, but I was like, man, I know I'm here for what I need, for as a person, as a young boy, young man, and as an athlete, as a basketball player. So I committed to them just off the fact that, man, I can go out here and just play with a free mind, get the love back, just hoop, what I'm saying? Not have to think about no colleges. Like, I'm already committed going to Valpo, a good school, so I was committed that whole season. So that gave me that clear mind and just to refocus, and like you said, gain that love back, with kind of a clean slate.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. No, it sounds like you made a very intentional decision to do that, where some people are in a spot where it's the only option. You were doing it to be able to get that opportunity back, and you knew that you had the game for that level. It was just making sure that you were mentally and physically ready to do that. So that's awesome. It's a great story.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's a lot of them.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was going to ask you. I was interested. What was playing with Draymond like?
Man, it was great.
Yeah. Is he a character? Man, is he a character off the court just like he is on the court at times?
Yeah, he definitely is.
That's him.
Not as it translates off the court directly. He's a character for sure. He's a character on and off the court. But man, he's very down to earth. We don't come from a lot. We come from kind of struggling. Our families took care of us. They took good care of us. We were comfortable, but we came from, tough upbringings, so, yeah. He's a humble guy, he's grateful, very appreciative. Man, I remember after our little, because after the season, you have like a little senior banquet, where they kind of recognize the seniors. So I remember at that banquet, like I vividly remember after the banquet, me and him were riding home in his car. And I was in the front seat. We just talking, man. Just it was like a real, just like man, like our college career is over. You know, like man, like it was kind of like a feeling of like, damn, we don't know what's next. You know, like we really have no idea. You know, obviously our situations were different. You know, me being playing in all these schools, you know, my path was way different to get to that point than his being there all those years. But it was just like the man, it was just I think at that moment describes us as people, you know, because it was like I can't explain. It's hard to say like it was like a real humble moment, like an intimate, humble, like damn, like we made it here, like we made it through college, like college is over. We just had our senior banquet, like we're interviewing these agents. We're both going through that process at the same time, but it's like just man, it was just great, man, to play with him and really like to go back on like speaking on my not even my evolution as a leader, but just him as a leader. You know, he kind of was like that was the first team that I was on with like a like what I would call like a leader. Like that's the first team I was on with a leader, and like I didn't know what a leader was until I played there with him. And I wouldn't have became the leader I am today on the court or off the court if I wouldn't have played there or met him and played alongside him.
Yeah.
You know, it was like whether it come with first holding yourself accountable, you know, and he holds himself such accountable. It's like, man, Izzo, man, he it's like it's an accountability level that it's like at times you wonder if it's like they test you on purpose. You know, it's like you get held accountable at the highest levels, but it's like it's really a test, you know, to see who's built for it, you know. And obviously, the higher the level of basketball, the higher the level of those tests gonna be. You know, it's more emotions attached to it, more feelings attached, you know, more at stake. You know, so man, just from him holding himself accountable to being able to hold us accountable as players, like I had never been on a team where, you know, a player or even players in general could really challenge the coaches, you know, and the players can challenge each other, you know, and whether it's appropriate or whether it's even taken a little far, you know, or we fighting or, you know, cussing and doing all that, it's like, it's just part of what it comes with it, you know. But it's like, man, just being exposed to that level of leader at that high of level, like that, man, he, in my opinion, and in a couple other people's opinion I talked to, like his demeanor, you know, him adding him and then being him and Clay and Steph being on that team together and Harrison Barnes and then being young, like them being on the team with Draymond in those years, I don't think they would have developed. I'm not gonna say they wouldn't have developed the way they have, but they wouldn't have had that real dog in them and that real mean, you know, like that anger that I don't give a damn. Like I don't want to say too, I don't want to cuss, but I don't like they don't.
You're good.
They put that in them. Like I feel like they put that. Like he just got that presence, you know. So
let me ask you: does he make it easy for you to develop that way? So he is kind of that lightning rod, that heat seeker, who is in front, the leader.
Yep. And
it makes it easy for the players around him to develop and not have to face that heat because he's taking the shield for you.
No, not face the heat, but basically like be willing to enter the heat.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the way I put it. It's like he's the first guy in and he's taking the shots.
Not even that, not even being the first guy in, but just like his presence or just like, you know, just like, man, it's kind of, it's like just his presence and demeanor and his mentality, like, you know who we be around, Scott, you know what I'm saying? You know, like
it's infectious.
It's the part you got to be a little like, you got to be a little ignorant, you know what I'm saying? You got to be a little ornery.
I got you.
I got you. You got to, you know, you got to be confrontational.
Yes.
You know, and it's
Right.
like just that aggressive nature, you know, and just I think he helped them in ways that probably have never even been spoken on in that respect, you know,
Right.
like
Right.
development has grown into men, you know,
Yep.
not saying that comparing where they were as men, but just like, you know, taking that next step, you
No,
know.
I get it. I agree with you. I see that. I see that point very, very much. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Scott, are you okay? You look like you're falling asleep there, buddy.
No,
Oh,
I'm listening, man. I'm taking it all in.
yeah.
Well, Brandon, I appreciate you coming on today.
All right.
I would love to have you on down the road to get you back on. I love the stories.
Mhm.
What would you say your favorite place to play is as we wrap up this part of the interview?
Like, you mean as far as like which year, which country, which school,
Country, let's say geographic location.
geographic? So just based on where it was at.
Yep.
I mean, well, I played in some great countries. You know, I'll just name the countries I played in.
Okay.
I started off in Macedonia. I was there for a month. Got released after. I don't even want to tell because I'll get to talking all day. So I was in Hungary. After that, so Macedonia, Hungary, Italy. Went to Austria. Went back to Hungary for a few months. Finished in Macedonia. Started the following season in Lithuania. Finished that season in Israel. Started the next season in Switzerland. The next season is when I went to the G League tryouts and made the Bulls G League team. After that, we went to Greece. We were in Greece for a month or two. Came home from there, went to Morocco, and then since then, been in Mexico and then Argentina. So, man, playing in Israel.
Wild trip.
Being able to play in Israel, go to Tel Aviv. Well, I live like 15 minutes from Tel Aviv, so I go there like every day, hang out with some friends, you know, go get some food. Playing in Switzerland, we were right by the border in France, so me and my wife could go to France whenever, you know, just driving through the Alps. Just the pictures you see on the computer, like that's really it's really how it looks. Like it's amazing. Wow. Playing in Italy, you know, being able to travel all through Italy, play road games, you know, playing in Rome, going to Jerusalem, going to Venice, going to Milan, like it's been amazing. Being able to, when I played in Morocco, when I was playing in Africa, we played in the African League, which was a league we got to travel. So I played a few games in Nigeria, played a few games in Angola. Jeez, so to be able to travel around Africa, that was special. Like that was life changing. So yeah, we've been all over, bro. It's been crazy. It's been crazy.
Awesome. That's awesome. And to be able to do that, you know, playing a game that you've developed that love for has got to be a great opportunity and something that people only dream of. I mean, I would only ever dream of that opportunity. So
I'm still dreaming.
Yeah.
I'm still a dreamer.
Yeah. It's
been special, man. I'm just trying to, now it's just, you know, all the stories I'm telling y'all about and everything I've learned on the court, through the business, through on the court in the game, through what I've learned in my off the court endeavors. Now it's just, you know, it's probably obvious I've been doing a lot of reflecting, a lot of writing, to where it's like now I'm just focused on how I can guide through my story and how I can motivate and inspire at higher levels through my story, especially these kids. So it's like now I'm been focused on these last few years, just, you know, learning more about myself through the journey and learning how I can, you know, deliver and, you know, like I said, continue to guide, motivate, inspire through the situations, most of the negative, the unfortunate situations that I've kept my composure and done well at, you know, kind of keeping them personal, you know, but those are the ones that, you know, are the special ones that I'm gonna really be able to share and that are really gonna, you know, really, I hope, make a difference, you know. So, man, I've learned a lot, you know, about myself. I've learned a lot about the world, man. My perspective is worldly now, you know. It's been special, you know. So now I just want to, you know, share the importance of traveling, you know, share the importance of finding your passions and doing what you love, and, you know, finding other passions through, you know, your first love, you know, your first passion. So, that's my message now, man. That's what I'm focused on now, you know. But like I said, I'm still playing. I'm still playing at my highest level. I'm healthier than ever. I'm stronger than ever, and you know, I'm looking forward to hooping again. So, still dreaming.
There it is. Keep the dream alive. Do big things. Continue that journey, and we hope the best for you, and now and in the future. And again, we appreciate you coming on, and we'd love to have you on again sometime later. Thanks, Scott, for getting us in touch with Brandon.
Yeah, man. Anytime. I'll jump on anytime.